He thinks the media will pounce on the negative and not give him due credit for the positive. He, by the way, would not be the first president to espouse that view. But I do want to get into this here, hopefully with a calmer, let's step back, let's everyone calm down and get a cooler perspective of all of this. With Gabby Marangelo, the Washington Examiner, we've got Rachel Campos-Duffy, the Fox News contributor, conservative commentator, last but not least, Adam Green, a Democratic strategist. So, Gabby, let me begin with you. I am not condoning the leader of the free world making a mistake or an error or stumble and then getting annoyed when someone calls him on it. I am wondering about a media, though, that says he's thin-skinned when they seem to be very thin-skinned responding to him going after their skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it, Neil. I mean, my gosh, after watching this, there's obviously so much to parse through. But I think one thing that stood out here is the fact that Donald Trump walked into an office today with his aides and said, look, I want to have a press conference. Amid all of the tumultuous things that have been happening in this administration, he put himself in front of reporters for more than an hour and fielded their questions. And for all of the attacks on Donald Trump saying that he is thin-skinned, I think that it was remarkable for a president at this time in his administration with so much going on, with his labor secretary withdrawing yesterday, with the resignation of General Flynn from the National Security Advisor post, to put himself in front of reporters and take questions from both what he called friendly outlets and unfriendly outlets. So I do want to give him credit for that. But, you know, as you said, there were moments in this press conference where he did distort the truth. You know, when he mentioned Elijah Cummings, claiming that he backed out of a meeting for political reasons, that's not what I was told by aides to the congressman.
And with the Congressional Black Caucus and who, you know, avoided whom, we won't know. So sometimes he gets and provides maybe too many details that are vague. But Rachel, when I look at this as well, he does have a point about at the good stuff. I'm a big believer with especially 24-hour news now. We have a lot of time to get in the good, the bad, the middle, and have at it. And I think what he was saying as well. Now, every president's sensitive to criticism. We dealt with that with Barack Obama and, of course, George Bush when the war turned south, that they don't like it. And I can understand that. But I think he is right to say not much attention to these job commitments I've gotten out of corporate America, not much attention to big union leaders who come and see me and are singing my praises, not much attention today to the UAW leader saying he commends the president and Ford shelving that Mexican factory. Yeah. That's the Trump factor. He's right about that. That media would leave out. What do you think?
Absolutely. And you can imagine if these accomplishments had occurred under an Obama administration, those would be the headlines. Look, when people put their kids to bed at night and they turn on the news, they see a lot of the things that Donald Trump complained about, or President Trump complained about today in this press conference. And it's why the media's, favorability or trustworthy meter, if you want to say, is at like 30%. People trust Donald Trump more than they trust the media. And when the media hears from somebody like, say, Steve Bannon or even the president who calls them the opposition party, they have no introspection about it. They don't stop and look at how they're treating this administration, how they refuse to put in any of the good stuff. It's kind of like what the Democrats did right after the election. They lost to Trump, they lost the middle of America, they lost Wisconsin and all the Rust Belt, and they go, I know, we're going to have a women's march and put on pink hats and
well, no, I don't want to minimize critics and all of that, but Adam, do you think that there's anything here to what Donald Trump is saying, that, all right, you're going to go after me the bad stuff, can you at least weigh in my 4 weeks in office some of the good stuff?
Yep. Well, first, Neil, thank you for not minimizing critics. I appreciate that. Now, look, I got to ask an earnest question to any of your viewers who voted for Donald Trump. You know, as you look across a range of issues, as you see Donald Trump hand over the keys to our economy over to Wall Street bankers after campaigning against Goldman Sachs and Wall Street bankers, as you see him appoint Congressman Mulvaney, one of the most ardent supporters of cutting Social Security, as his budget director after promising not to cut Social Security. And today, as you see him have a pretty, ranting press conference, erratic press conference. Well, I'm getting to it. As you see him do that after promising to be presidential, is that what you voted for? And I just can't believe that Trump voters are looking at this and seeing a dignified president who's fulfilling his campaign promises. At a minimum, it's a distraction from his agenda, but it really fits into a long pattern of betraying his own voters.
All right, but do you think that that in raising those issues, that it would be fair to me to raise some of the issues I've raised, and that if you're going to make a big difference about Mulvaney coming in to run OMB, that you should point out as well that he's a guy who's called for, cutting the Defense Department budget, which a lot of liberals might support. Could you balance it out with that?
Look, there are some things that I think his supporters can point to. But I actually do think it's ironic that you pointed to Wall Street numbers climbing at the beginning of this segment. I mean, there's a reason that the people on Wall Street are rooting for Donald Trump. He's being very good to Wall Street.
He talked about factory jobs coming back.
But everyone, when the market goes up, you could say it benefits Wall Street. You're quite right about that. But you could also turn it around and say, well, investors are seeing richer 401ks, richer pensions. They're getting a little better. What do you guys think about that?
I was just going to say that you also talked about all the jobs that are coming back to America, something that Democrats purport to want to have happen. So, I mean, there's a lot of really great news besides what's happening in the stock market that's going on with the Trump administration. And again, it deserves to have a fair shake. And what I think the Democrats are doing by not engaging in this and not even trying to share and enjoy jobs coming back, it really shows just how political they are and that they're out to get this president.
Well, the one thing I'll point out that works on both sides. I'm just trying to say that, but guys, I want to think about a lot of breaking news here. All I'm trying to do and step back, and you guys are extremely helpful in that regard, to provide a little bit of balance here. Donald Trump is not a nut. The media isn't entirely wrong. There's a little bit of truth and a little bit of accuracy to both sides. You might say both sides are tad thin-skinned here, but to say that the media is not and Donald Trump is, I don't know if that's